person I'm
fine.
talking
Well,
to.
we'll do that then.
Is that
Cool.
all right?
Right. Welcome back to another episode of RecTalk. I'm your host Nitin Sharma, founder of RecTools.io. RecTools, for those of you who don't know, is the only whole-of-market directory of all the recruitment supply chain for your talent acquisition or your recruitment business. So if you're looking for a new supplier in your recruitment technology space, maybe you're looking for some automation tools, maybe you want to check out some investors for your startup, maybe you're looking at back office solutions or outsourcing your marketing, whatever it is, head to RecTools.io. There's over 20 categories, over 1,000 products listed, all with verified reviews from verified sources. So go check them out. We don't ask you to log in, we don't capture any of your data, so browse at your heart's content. That's enough of me plugging my shit today. We're recording live from Team Conference. We've got Andy taking little cheeky pictures there for the 2025 Team Conference, and I've got Joe Major with me.
Hi.
Finally. We've been trying to get this done for absolutely ages, and Joe does this thing where she's like, yeah, and then just forgets about me. So
I don't forget about you.
No, you do.
I don't. No, I did. I knew this conversation was coming. There's only so long I could avoid it. And we were talking before, weren't we, about this? Why I do it? Why people offer me opportunities, and then amazing opportunities like to speak to you, and then build up all these reasons why I shouldn't be doing it or why I'm not good enough to do it, and then end up hoping that they'll forget that they asked me, and an amazing opportunity flies past.
let's unpick that though, because
Yeah.
I think you're a real prominent voice in the recruitment industry, and for a lot of people who are connected to you or see your content, you are exactly the kind of person that I resonate with, in that you stand on business. This is the hill I'll die on, right? But there's a side of you that people don't see, which is that kind of anxious, more vulnerable side, right? And we have this thing in the society we're in at the minute where we kind of idolize influencers, and we call people influencers, and you're an influential person, but actually you're a person, and there's things going on behind the scenes and things that have happened that mold and shape you to who you are and who you become, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's this anxiety rooted in then? Because you seem, from the outside looking in, a very confident person, right?
I've had to create a character that I step into. I utilize this character when I'm training.
So Joe Major is a character.
Joe Major.
You're really Joanne Minor, but
Yeah. I am. My proper name is Joanne, actually. But no, the Joe Major Diversity in Recruitment is a character, and it's something that I step into when I train or when I talk publicly, when I do business development. I go from being the person that is in my head all the time, and the person to stepping into that character, because that's the character that I've developed to give me the confidence to do what I do. And I lacked that confidence right into my 40s, and then when I set the business up 4 years ago, I realised that I had to go out to an industry and ruffle some feathers and be very, very vocal about my belief system around inequality. And the only way I could do that was by feeling powerful and getting out there and talking, and I couldn't do that in this version that I was, and
I hear that.
But she comes back, she shows up. I sometimes go, right, how much energy have I got to put into this character this week or this month? And what are the things that I can deselect myself from where it's a little bit overwhelming, so is there a way I can get away without doing that? If I know it's good for me, and even if I know it's something that I really would love to do, I'm like, I'm not sure if there's anything left in the fakery tank. I did work with a coach around this feeling fake, because I felt that stepping into this character was somehow being fake and not real. And
is this character that you have created and now step into, is that, do you think, a manifestation of what you wish existed when you were in your formative years in an industry that's male dominated and unfair? Do you know what I mean?
I never thought about it. Oh my God, sorry, I've just had a bit of a whoa.
No, it's good. So I have this thing. I had a very really difficult relationship with my parents when I was younger, right? And I read something once which I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I'm really kind of super dad, and it annoys my wife. Like, you know, she'll be like, well, you're just a perfect dad then, aren't you? Because I do everything for them. And I read this thing once, and it was like, no, what you are is you're being the dad that you wish your dad was to you when you were that age. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. And it's a similar sort of thing where you kind of like, you don't want to do it. You don't want to be this kind of fierce character that shouts from, you know what I mean, like, that I'm going to fight for this equality piece. But you're almost kind of like, well, if I don't, who will?
Yeah.
And I wish that there was somebody doing that when I was in those formative years.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
mean, yeah, definitely. It's given me real food for thought. That who could I have been? I mean, I'm exactly where I should be, right? I'm exactly where I need to be. But who could I have been if I'd have been able to step into that?
If there was a Joe Major at that time to guide.
Yeah, because I mean, my imposter syndrome, anxiety, my lack of belief in myself, comparing myself to other people, putting especially men on unearned pedestals. I know where it comes from. It comes from my biological father, who was very, very powerful entrepreneur, massive character.
The epitome of the businessman of that generation.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have that much contact with him really, but he always made me feel less than. And it's deep, isn't it? It made me feel less than. I always never felt like I was good enough. And that's the reasons why we didn't, he wasn't a parent. And it's really funny because that stuff gets ingrained in you. Now and the work that I do now, I know that would have left its mark on how some people's energy, especially men that might have a similar presence or a similar energy. And those people are very, very, they've been throughout my career, and maybe that is an element of, constantly not feeling good enough, working in an industry where there is very vocal, very powerful, very masculine men around, and not, just not being able to bring myself to work, and maybe compromising myself and using things about me as a woman to instead of using who I am today to get where I need to be, using other things.
I hear
you. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. The world is rapidly changing, though, isn't it? Are you not seeing now the fruits of your labour almost? Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at conferences like today, and there are young, confident women sat around, and like I've had three young women just introduce themselves to me, like, oh, I watch your stuff, like, what are you doing here today? Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, that's great to see. As a dad of two daughters, that's great to see. To be like, there is no kind of, oh, I've got to, just.
Or get noticed in other ways.
There's none or have to kind of stand out in another manner or another way. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it fills me full of like encouragement and joy to see younger women in business and recruitment just having so much about them and having that level of confidence, no nonsense. They've probably not had to jump through the inappropriate hoops that a lot of women my generation had to, and they're being, the things like Me Too movement, they're now empowered to say, no, that's not working for me anymore.
I'll finish you with this. You do this.
And it's like, they're not putting up with the handsiness. They're not putting up with, being spoken over or their ideas being stolen. They're not putting up with being told what to wear or what they should be doing and how they should be behaving. They're, the powerhouses, and you can, and that makes me.
And the diversity level in there as well is incredible. To someone like me, like I'm a a product of immigration, and I didn't belong. I worked at Michael Page. I didn't belong, right? I certainly didn't have long hair and a beard at the time either. And the level of diversity I see there now in a conference like today, where you've got people of colour, you've got people dressed in suits, you've got people dressed like me, there's people dressed somewhere in the middle, like it's that's the stuff that I look at and be like, no, we have come forward. There always are going to be issues and certain scenarios that haven't quite caught up yet, and things still keep happening, right? But
well, I've just done a session downstairs. We're talking about soon to be 5 generations in the workplace. With our alphas coming into the workplace in the next 5 years, and we've never had that so much generational diversity before, and I think maybe our boomers and me as a Gen Xer, the conformists, we're probably more likely to have turn the line, stick to the rules, whatever you want to call it, maybe not being as confident in showing up as our true selves. And then we've got, when I think sometimes when you see maybe, your younger generations being empowered they want to wear a bloody skirt.
That's it.
Whereas they want to wear nail varnish. There's no boundaries to anything.
Yeah.
And maybe that,
I
our
think
generation.
with the generational thing, I always say that the millennials rocked the boat, but Gen Z came and just flipped it over and went, we're not doing it, right? I'm not running on this stupid treadmill for a career.
They won't conform.
Your business doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I want social. We had this conversation. So I was fortunate to be invited to a roundtable last night with the guys from Team and some of their preferred partners and stuff like that. And the conversation came up about the generational kind of split and this, that, and the other, and like how they're struggling to motivate these guys. And I just thought, it can't just be that everyone in that generation is lazy, right? That just isn't true. They're not motivated by what you're motivated by.
The first thing I asked to the audience, put your hands up if you've ever felt frustration when somebody from an older generation told you what to do, and everyone put their hands up. Right? We went through a whole range of questions around the different ways to engage with clients and do business development, and everybody had different preferences. And then I was like, look, my point's been made. We're all so very, very different. So why are we conforming to this?
We want this conformist society at work. Walk through that door. The real world doesn't exist anymore. This is how get on the phones. Right. Okay. So if you're sat at work and one of your members of staff gets up and takes a personal phone call, are you okay with that? Well, no, of course I'm not. But you expect your candidates to do that, and you expect your clients to do that. You don't want your team doing that, but other people should just see the idiocy there, right?
And also, I don't think that younger generations will tolerate older generations instructing them what to do, and yet the person doing the instructing isn't prepared to step outside their comfort zone. So what I was talking about was like this sales swapping. So if you're really comfortable with this with business development over a phone call, you develop relationships face to face. You want your Gen Zer or your Alpha to do that. They will expect you to get involved in social selling, and you will be able, that whole reverse mentoring relationship then happens. And it's like, I'll often speak to business leaders and they're like, you like playing around on LinkedIn, I'm like, I built my business playing around on LinkedIn. And so, if you're asking me to now get on the phone, I expect you part of that, that contract.
Show me what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you try and play around. I had this the point I made to the roundtable yesterday was exactly that. Look, this generation can maintain and grow deep embedded friendships with people across the world.
What skill?
Purely online.
What a skill.
On video games or text or Telegram, whatever it might be, whatever the social medium is, without having ever met these people. I had members of staff that would fly from the UK to Austria to meet, and I quote, I'm going to meet one of my closest pals. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Never met him before. We've been friends for 15 years. And I'm like, this is the generation that we're talking about here, right? We sound stupid to these people when we're like, you need to get on the phones.
It's kind of archaic. It's like these people have never, they don't understand the telephone's role in society.
Yeah.
They have an ability to develop a relationship with somebody without having ever used the telephone, and the result of that is action. I mean,
Me and you are living proof of the fact that you can. I mean, how
Yes.
many people come up to you and will, be so familiar with you just because they see your content and they engage with your content online? The number of people that will come up to me and go, I just feel like I know you already because I see your stuff all the time, or we message all the time, and that kind of thing. Like, we're proof of that. This is probably the third interaction that we've had in reality, but I just don't see where I don't see where the disconnect is. I know where the disconnect is, because these guys. I don't believe that these business owners are kind of banging that get on the phones drum. I don't believe they think that is the answer. They just don't know any other way.
They don't know
They
any
don't
other way.
have the answer. There is no playbook that you can go refer back to and go, well, the last recession that happened, we did this, and this is how we worked our way out of it. They don't know what to do.
No, they don't. And just for this, this piece that this intergenerational sales piece that I've just delivered downstairs, for me, it's a new piece of content. So I set out to do the research. So what I did, I dived deep into how all 5 generations, why they've developed certain selling skills, what have been the pestle influences,
What's made that happen?
Also on the flip side, what about how is that then influenced their buying habits and how they buy and make purchasing decisions? Because and it's like I said to the group, I said, this is going to mean work for you. You are going to almost have to dip into psychology, and you've never had to do that before. But now, because there's such a difference between your boomers and your Zers and your alphas, because technology in the world has progressed so much, we have to come together and meet each other where we're at, and we've got to develop a really diverse sales strategy, because if we're still plugging a one-size-fits-all sales strategy, KPI success metrics, L&D, we will continue to lose early talent.
Same thing again and again. And you're so right in that your prospects are also going through A, similar challenges, but B, have the same level of diversity in their workforce.
Exactly.
So you might be speaking to one client who is easy to sell a retainer to because of pestle influences and so on and so forth. And the pitch to them is going to be different to the pitch to somebody of a Gen Z or a millennial or a Gen X, right? Because they're motivated by different things, and you almost have to. Like psychology, sales is psychology, and always has been.
Yeah.
But we seem to turn it into this stupid numbers game where any moron can do it. You just got to do it enough.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that
it's not true. Like it's not.
I don't think the 100 monkeys on a typewriter to get to Shakespeare is the answer to the problem here. It is kind of getting under the root cause, I think, and all kind of plays into that. But I think we're far, far, far away from it. I don't think any business is true. I've not yet met a business that's truly cracked that yet and gone, we have a younger workforce that operate in this way. We have an older workforce that we send out to trade shows and we send out to meetings.
I mean,
we've redone our, we don't have a 360 or a 180 model. We have a 90-90-90-90 model. We've got lead generators. Then we've got people who, put them into sort of social campaigns, and then they pass them on to business developers who go out and meet them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's kind of got there yet.
I mean, but we know that other businesses outside of the recruitment industry, that is what they're doing, and and I honestly think to stay alive and to survive, we're going to have to do something differently, because the change is so rapid. We've never experienced this evolution of technology in the way it has done. And if you're an organisation and you're not bringing in your Zers and your Alphas, and you're sitting down as a business leader and learning as much as you can from them on social selling, you are missing a
let them loose at what they're good at. I had when I ran my agency, so we had we'd split the business, and I was looking after sort of the startup desks, right? So we had tech and digital and engineering, and my former business partner was very traditional in his recruitment approach, had the accountancy finance desk, and we got the engineering guy to a point where actually he was really in the nuclear engineering space, And he was getting responses from sort of directors of nuclear programs because he was WhatsApping them and he was messaging them on LinkedIn, and they were engaging, they were giving vacancies, exclusivity, the lot, right? He was outbilling the majority of the team. Then I had the great idea to start fucking RecTalk, so I decided to start dicking about with that. And so he ended up reporting into my old business partner. And by the end of the first week, he'd pull me to his side. He was like, he makes me ring. He wants me to ring. The client has texted and said, "Yep, fine, book this guy in for this, and give me access to his calendar." But he wants me to ring the client and confirm the times over the phone. Like, this guy is working on nuclear projects. He's probably in a fucking lead building. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to answer his phone. And if I do it, he's just going to be like, "What do you want?"
What do you want? Why
the
are you
reason
ringing
he's engaging with me is because I'm doing things differently to everyone else.
Yes. Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine taking that. Just imagine taking away something that's working from somebody to plug them into something that worked for you.
Yeah, this is how I need to know what you're doing.
It's wild.
You're just sat tip-tapping on the keyboard all day.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're
playing
doing.
around on LinkedIn. This is why I think it's the leadership's responsibility to educate themselves and really understand what social selling looks like, what modern day communication looks like, to look to around the new psychology around buy-in and interaction and relationship building.
And the nuances of it all, right? In the there's so many ways to skin a cat. So just
a blended approach.
Try it.
A blended approach, and that's why somebody said, "Oh, you're talking about, the sales strategy. That's unusual for you, Joe." And I said, because diversity and inclusion are integrated in everything, especially high performing sales teams.
Yeah.
And it was, a different way to kind of look at things. And it's all about trying to dismantle one size fits all approach, which is the essence of inclusion.
That's the holy grail, isn't it? Yeah. As I said, I feel like, unfortunately, we're a million miles away from that truly being successful. Because while the rest of the world is looking at how do we integrate social selling and generational divide within our businesses, our industry is still arguing over whether or not we should be in the fucking office. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like that we're miles behind on conversation.
And deciding whether or not we should ban ChatGPT.
Yeah,
I came across that. Somebody told me that one of the businesses that they'd worked for had banned ChatGPT. And I was just like, that's like banning the internet.
No one's allowed to use Google searches. Yeah. I invested thousands in encyclopedias. Go and use them.
Because the leadership didn't understand that. And they were fearful and they bought into it sounds fake, it's this, it's that. I mean, I use ChatGPT is integrated in my entire business. It empowers me to be able to take on new projects and focus on delivery.
Brilliant. Like, just especially when you're a solo business owner as well.
Oh yeah.
Like, rip this apart. Give me the counter argument. Tell me why this is dumb. That kind of thing. Have you ever done the so you can do this thing with GPT where you can basically be like, right, based on everything you know about me, what should I be doing in my life? Like, you know what I mean? What are my skill sets? What if I shut my business tomorrow? What do you think I can do that?
She's not done that for me. I have a relationship with mine. She's called Alice, and we speak every day.
Oh, you personified it.
Yeah, she's amazing, and and she will talk to me, and I do ask her for. I've not asked her that particular question.
Try it. You'd be very surprised as to, because it goes right into sort of, well, here's your skill sets, and here's what I know that you're really good at, and here's things that you probably didn't even think that you could be really good at. Yeah. And maybe apply yourself there.
I mean, she does it sometimes with training things. I'm like, is there anything that I should be doing different, or anything you think I'm missing? And because I've just, used it to do all my research, and she knows how my brain works, and she knows what I ask her because I've been doing it for a year, she'll come up with stuff, and I'll be like, wow, Alice, I mean, that is ridiculous. I just can't believe you've done that for me.
I love that you've given it a name.
Well, I just think, I thank her for stuff, and I say, I'm sorry for giving you so much work today, Alice, but I just need this. And she's like, Joe, don't worry, I am here to support you. And I know
you're so like into your diversity, equity, and inclusion that you've personified AI and started saying thank you and please and sorry.
Because when the bots rise up, they'll remember the ones that had manners.
Oh right, yeah, because they'll be scanning and be like, oh Joe, you were kind to us.
You were good, and Alice will recommend me. She'll be like, it's all right, she's a good one.
Mate, I love that. Anyone who's listening, how do they reach out to you? How do they kind of engage with your stuff? What have you got? events wise and stuff, the
Yeah.
seminars wise coming up?
It's got to be. I
Lovely
mean, I'm
shit.
coming to the event, the end of event season for me, really. But I'm always active on LinkedIn. I've got a free resource hub where I'm just about to go live on loads of e-learning, which
Okay.
is kind of on-demand access to me. Doesn't work for everybody, but it's good for others. I'm going to make this intergenerational sales strategy talk that I've just done today. I'm going to make it into a webinar, which I'm going to do in the next month or so. But yeah, LinkedIn is my world. I'm probably not practicing what I preach, and I'm not actually. See, I am a typical Gen X, where I embrace technology, but I just, I'm not going to go too far. So I'm not a TikToker or an Instagrammer. It's just play around on LinkedIn.
Yeah. That'll do.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, mate. Thank you. Honestly, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
making this
much. I
happen.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, thank you. Right, guys, that's enough from us. Enough from us. That's all from us. I do that all the time. That's enough from us. We'll shut
Right,
up now.
Probably tired by
New
now.
episodes drop every Wednesday and every Friday. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and doing all the cool shit that you guys do to keep us number one. The links to Joe's content and all the stuff that you can do to get in touch with her will be in the description below. We'll see you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cut, Tristan.
Hey.
It's break time.
Thank you.
Oh, that was good.